again with another video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to turn up my screen brightness. Back at it again, and we are now talking about Finland in NATO is official. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization has announced that Finland is officially the 31st member of the alliance. And this is phenomenal news because Finland is highly capable. They're going to be a tremendous ally to the alliance. So I want to talk a little bit about why NATO and why Finland joined NATO. Ultimately, Finland had decades of non-alignment because that was just the policy that they introduced after the Second World War. After the Winter War, they weren't aligned with one side or the other. But today, with the accession protocols being formally introduced and ratified by all 30 governments, making them number 31, it is really important to underscore just how capable Finland is. Finland fought the Soviet Union during the Winter War to a standstill, and in terms of numbers, Finland was outmatched. Just in terms of just numbers, the Soviets kept throwing bodies and bodies and bodies at the problem, and didn't go away. I mean, Soviet battle doctrine is just throwing bodies at the problem, hoping it goes away. And does that sound familiar? Because it hasn't changed in over 500 years of Russian history. Don't fix what's not broken. Finland joins as NATO's 31st member. This is really amazing because now the Baltic Sea ultimately is a NATO lake. You have Norway is a NATO member, Denmark, Germany, Poland, the Baltics, and now Finland, and ultimately probably within the next year we're probably going to get Sweden accession protocols. So now that you have all 3 Scandinavian countries in here, Norway, Sweden, Finland, along with Denmark, along with Germany, Poland, and the Baltics, you have a NATO lake. You have Baltic Sea is a NATO lake. The only Russian enclaves, once Sweden is fully accepted, the only enclaves that the Russians have are their enclave of Kaliningrad and the port up here in St. Petersburg, which is only, if we're going to measure distance, 72 miles out of all of this. That's minuscule. Kaliningrad, in terms of coastline, we'll say, so we have 72 plus we have about another 74. So that's about 150 miles of coastline out of all this. That's not a lot. Not a lot at all. Baltic Sea is officially now a NATO lake, with Finland being introduced and formally announced as an ally, and Sweden's accession protocols once Hungary and Turkey kind of figure out what they're up to. Turkey, Erdogan's probably waiting until after the election to try and to ratify Sweden's accession protocols. So I really want to emphasize the importance of the Baltic Sea essentially being a NATO lake, but also the land border. Because ultimately Norway was one, and Norway has a small little land border with Russia up here. And then we had the enclave of Kaliningrad between Poland and the Baltics, especially Lithuania, and also the old border down here between Latvia, Estonia, and Russia. Now with Finland's accession, now it goes from these small land borders to now there's a huge land border between Finland and Russia. And strategically, the Kola Peninsula, which is right up here, hosts a bunch of Russian nuclear capabilities in terms of their submarine fleet, in terms of their force posturing here in Murmansk. So in terms of strategicness, Murmansk from Norway and now Finland is roughly, we're going to measure this, 100 and so miles. So you have Russian, your North Fleet, your Northern Fleet here based in Murmansk in the Kola Peninsula. And then you also have St. Petersburg, which is now only, I'm pretty sure, less than 100 miles. Yeah, about literally now with Finland joining, two very strategic Russian cities in terms of Murmansk up here for your Northern Fleet, your St. Petersburg, which is huge in terms of strategic value for Russia, are all within 100 miles of NATO land border. So you have two strategic cities, Murmansk and St. Petersburg, now really, really close to NATO territory. And ultimately, the enclave of Kaliningrad is entirely surrounded by Poland and Lithuania. The Suwalki Gap is also a point of contention because if you push from Belarus to Kaliningrad, that's only about 56 miles, 55 miles. So, in terms of land border, it went from this and this to all of this plus all of this. So, Vladimir Putin gambled and lost pretty badly. He thought he can cut the Europeans off from their energy by pipelines from the Urals in. That didn't work. Ultimately, Finland and Sweden ended their decades of non-alignment. Finland is now a full member of NATO. Sweden is on the way. And Russian forces are bogged down in Ukraine and clearly not going anywhere anytime soon. The longer the war in Ukraine goes on, the less Russian combat power exists. So, NATO is stronger with Finland as a member because Putin had to go from defending the purple to defending the purple plus the orange, which is hugely strategic. In terms of border, over 1,300 kilometers. Now, I'm American, we don't understand kilometers, but we only think in miles or football fields because that's just how we operate here in the States. So, that's pretty sizable strategic loss for Russia because now Murmansk and now St. Petersburg are all really close, and essentially the Baltic Sea is a NATO lake. Once Sweden officially joins, it'll be entirely a NATO lake. But Finland is hugely strategic against Russia. They're going to be a very capable, very amazing, and strong partner, ally, and friend. So NATO is stronger, Russia is weaker, and that's great for everyone. With that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and we will see you all in the next video. Deuces.